So the process of today really is to explain some of the new updates that have happened. We've been listening to feedback throughout the last, well, 4 years since it's been around, but recently we're really really trying to focus in on making your lives as easy as possible. So there's a lot of updates on the mapping itself. So I'm going to talk through those. In particular, we've introduced a new template for the sustainable farming incentive. So anyone involved in the pilot or involved in Sfi 22, I'll quickly show you what that project template looks like and how you can use it. There's a couple of other features such as reordering your projects in the left-hand panel, which I'll show you how you can use. Plus, we've done a huge amount of work around the ordnance survey data layers. So the first part of the demonstration in this section 1, we're going to be showing you how you can use your ordnance survey base map to be able to trace it. So using that base map as an interactive feature to draw your additional options and additional features. Plus, we've also instated the ability to search the OS grid reference number within the search bar at the top of the map. If you will hopefully be aware that our new website launched a couple of weeks ago with our new logo. We've got a new website for exploring the functions we have, the different pages for the different some of the main user groups. There are some other user group pages such as forestry that we're introducing soon, but please do have a little click and a play and understand a bit more about the functionality we have. We've updated the pricing page, etc. So please do have a play. Tom's been updating on our blogs, so we've got some really nice blogs that you're welcome to go have a read on. Plus, we've introduced a new contact form. So if you've got any questions or product feedback or anything, please do fill out that form, and we do get an automatic message from that and log it on our side. So hopefully all of you are familiar with the Land app, and if not, you can sign up for free, hitting the sign up button. But if you have got an account, you can click login and you'll be met with your normal dashboard. And so for the first part of the demonstration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a new map by hitting the new button at the top right hand side of my screen and give it a date so we can keep track of it. And because I'm in a professional as well, I'm going to add this to my own personal tag and my farming tag as well, and create an empty map. And as per most of our workflows, we want to define a boundary. So the boundary I'm going to use is an RPA SBI number, which I've got on my other screen here. I'm going to use the import from rural payment agency button. And for this demo, I'm just going to download land covers and hedge data. And as usual, that imports the data. If you want to know how you can import other boundaries, please do check out some of our help and guidance. For example, you can choose land registry data. If you're in Scotland, you can use Scottish registry data as well. But please do just search the articles in this bottom right-hand panel to hopefully find you all the answers you need. For demonstrating the SFI pilot, what I'm first going to do quickly is just create a basic payment scheme, because a number of you on the call would have already had a basic payment scheme. So I'm just adding a basic payment scheme using my land cover data. Hopefully this is a familiar workflow to most of you. And therefore I've got a basic payment scheme project that's now sat on my map. I'm actually going to change to the Ordnance Survey Light base map as well, just to make the color a bit more contrasting. And the final step, what I am going to do, just to show you, because we've had a couple of messages recently, is if you've been with us for over 12 months, you might remember that land covers and hedges used to be merged together. The RPA has now split them. But just to show you, you can actually bring your hedge data onto your basic payment scheme, so you have a single data file. And the quickest way to do that at the moment is actually just duplicate that hedge data into a BPS, like so. And you don't need to rename it for now. But then I've got my hedge lines on my map like this. And then what I do is use the select all function. So I'm selecting all my hedge layer, which is this one, like so. And that just highlights all of my hedges. And then the final step is I'm right clicking on all those hedges, copying them to project and bringing them to my basic payment scheme. And now when I turn off my basic payment scheme, what you'll notice is I have those hedgerow lines on my basic payment scheme map. So just to show you how I get to that point. Not non-essential for the demo, but just might come in use for the SFI demo. So I've got my basic payment scheme, and let's just call this, I think this is in Lucerne at the moment in Tim Tom. So I've got my basic payment scheme. It's already predefined where my grassland is, where my woodland blocks are, for example, using the RPA data. And the first thing I want to show is our new Sfi template. So as per usual, all of our project templates are found within the Create Project button, which is located here in green on the left-hand side of the screen. And we've just introduced it up here at the top. And just before I do explain a bit about this isn't for everyone. The Sustainable Farm Incentive is the new first tier of the environmental land management schemes that are coming out over the coming years to replace the basic payment scheme. Sustainable Farm Incentive is the first tier. There's the other two, which is the local nature recovery and the landscape restoration. But the Sustainable Farm Incentive at the moment is working with both pilots and trials. So you're either in a sustainable farming incentive pilot, therefore you can use all the options within this template. If you are doing the Sfi 22, which is a more restricted application, you can't have access to all the options in here. So please do make sure you check the eligibility of your Sfi 22 before using all the options. But the principle is the same, is that you can create a project from the Sfi template by choosing it and creating from land covers. However, what I wanted to quickly show you is that if you've already completed a basic payment, you can actually use your basic payment scheme to start creating SFI or any other project. So it might be useful for stewardship as well. And the way that you do that, again, like I did with hedges, is that you can duplicate your basic payment into a sustainable farm incentive. So I'm going to call this SFI demo. So what that's doing is that's taking my SFI, my BPS, project, and putting it into my Sfi template. So on the left-hand side now, I have these two separate projects, both of which are turned on. But when I toggle off the basic payment scheme, you can see that the styling is removed. So the data that sat behind it, which was the basic payment, has been removed. But what I do like to use is that, that baseline, that BPS, just as a toggle on and off, just so I can remember what the land use is. Also, if you toggle off the SBI at the top, you can see that that's the reason I've got that slightly blue coloration in the background. So if you do have any issues when you're printing, you're like, oh, it's looking really blue, always double check your boundaries layer. So the first thing, just to let you know, is the Sfi template is laid out exactly the same way as our BPS and our countryside stewardship, which means that every field parcel, when you click on it, has all the field parcel information in, if you've downloaded it using the RPA importer. And every field parcel can be assigned a code or a use. And exactly the same way as we've got this accordion shaped filter. So you can just look at the arable or the improved grassland options, or as per usual, you can search for keywords like grassland. So this at the moment is in Lucerne. So this area is actually eligible for the arable options. And the way that the Sfi works, as you will know, I'm not going to get into the detail, is you first choose your land standard. So your whole field can go into a standard, and each of those have got to meet some requirements. And as per the countryside stewardship, if I was, for example, to put this field parcel into the intermediate land standard, I then have the guidance link as per the stewardship. So I can click that guidance link, and that tells me about the arable land standard, what's the eligibility, etc. And .gov will hopefully keep that up to date with us. As per usual, you can multi-select. So I'm holding Shift on my keyboard, and I can select all of my grassland fields like so, and I can change those to the grassland standard. Oh, if I could spell grass. Grassland. I want the introductory improved grassland standard. So there we are. Again, I'm not going to explain too much about what the codes mean, but just to show you the structure of the data. And then the next thing that you can do on the Sfi is you can stack certain options. So you put your land standard on the whole parcel, and then a whole or part parcel can be added as an action. So for example, for my grass fields up here, I could do some actions such as reducing stocking density that I can get paid for. And the way that you do that within our template is you have to select the ones you want and duplicate them. So our duplicate function at the top just does what it says on the tin. It makes an exact replica of the field parcels you've got selected, like so. And just to show you then, so you can visualize that, as I've duplicated both of these. So if I move this field parcel out of the way, there's an identical copy underneath, just to show you what that's done. So the duplication is, they've got exactly the same features, still got the same code, same field ID, they're exactly the same. So they will appear on your report. But just to go back, push back, so now it's on top. And then what you can do is you can search for your action. So for example, I want to use the manage stocking density action. I turn that on, and what we've done is we've styled it to be, to visualize what the standard is underneath. So for example, the stocking density is just a red diagonal line, but if you put it over improved grassland, you can see the green through it. So that's the introductory one. And just to show you, there's slight color variations between the introductory and the intermediate. So there's a bit of a color scale for each of the each of the options. So the darker it gets, the higher down that standard you are. Again, there was no styling provided by DEFRA, so we've just kind of improvised, but if there's any comments or suggestions, please let us know. The final thing that you can do on your SFI, just to let you know, is in a very similar way to stewardship, there are capital options and hedgerow standards. So for example, this hedgerow line that I brought down earlier can be assigned a hedgerow standard, introductory. And remember, you can select all your hedgerows. He says, if you select all of them like this, and you can put all of your hedgerows into, say, the advanced standard like that. Those greens are actually quite hard to see. So remember, you can change the styling either by changing the width, or you can be a bit flexible on the colors just to make that a bit more obvious where the standards are. So that's pretty much all I want to show you for the SFI demo. I've got other things to show, but just one thing to note, that in the table view for SFI, just like countryside stewardship, we've also put in the pricing or the value of that option. So if you do open a table view, you can see that I've got all my different standards and some of my hedgerow standards, for example, and we've put in what the value is for that. So you should get a calculation for how much that action is worth. There are as well capital items, so you can draw points, for example, and add the different capital items to that. So these are the options available under SFI. So hopefully everything you need for an SFI 22 application or a part of an SFI pilot should be within that template, and you can print as usual label as you would normally. So that's the SFI pilot. The next thing I want to show you quickly is we've just introduced the ability to reorder projects in this left-hand panel. And so by reordering projects, and just to demonstrate, if I turn on the basic payment scheme, at the moment, the SFI is at the bottom of the list, which means on the map, it's hidden at the back. So the basic, whatever's at the top of this list is further back. If I hit the reorder and I click and drag my SFI demo like so, you can see that the styling on the map changed. So the order of those maps is now that the basic payment is on the top. Basic payment is on top of the SFI demo. And just to reverse that, just so you can see. What this will hopefully help with is some of you larger users in terms of your data to reorder that. So it might be that you want some to get the back. You might want to cluster up your BPS projects or your stewardship projects. So that should allow you to jostle with that and be a bit more flexible. The next thing I want to just quickly show you is the ability to search OS grid reference numbers. So I've actually just, in Blue Peter fashion, got a grid reference for a local park that's just outside my window. And I can search then, and that will take me to the central point for that grid reference. Just a reminder that grid references, the longer the number, so if you get 8 digits like I've got here, it will take you to that location. If, for example, I only have 6 digits, so I take off 2 of the numbers, and this is the grid reference I'm given, I'm taken to the center of that grid reference, which is a slightly different place. So just remember that the grid reference, the more accurate you've got it, the more close to that point you're going to be. So we handle 8. I think we might even handle 10 digits as well. So just be aware of that. Just a reminder, if you're wanting to know how to work out coordinate systems as well, we have got the coordinate, the ability to extract that grid reference from your feature. So say, for example, I wanted to share with Tom the center of this grass field just as a location. You can click on the field parcel. Just gonna go back onto that so you can see which one I've selected. Click on the field parcel, choose this coordinates button at the bottom right. And then within here, we've got at the moment 3. We're just about to introduce what 3 words, which will come out in the next one, but that'll be our 4th coordinate system. But the grid reference system from OS is this one in the middle. So by copying that, and if I zoom out randomly, go over here and paste that into here just to show you, I can then zoom to the center of my field. Just as a note, just because that came up during a training session recently, this top grid field number is the RLR field number. So if you're submitting an RLE1 form to government, to RPA or DEFRA, this is in their format what the number of this field should be. So they're slightly different, just the way they order the numbers. But this is the OS grid reference, and that's the RLR grid field number. So the final bit of mapping, which I think just needs demonstrating before I get on to the data purchases, is we've introduced the ability of your OS base maps, so this base map that you can see, to be interactive. And just to demonstrate what that means in a bit of a use case, because I think it's really exciting and it's going to have huge amounts of uses. Firstly, it's available only when you're on these two data layers. So it's not available on Ordnance Survey Leisure. It's only available on Ordnance Survey Light and Ordnance Survey. And what it is it allows you to trace features that are currently showing on the base map. And it lets you do that when you're at zoom level 9, zoom level 10 or above. So when I'm at level 9, I can't toggle on my interactive map. You can see at the bottom of your screen, it might be hidden if anyone's got a little bar. There's a little hint there that says available at zoom level 10 and below. When I zoom into level 10, which is premium, I can now toggle interactive map on. And so just as a note to that, that is available to free users, but you have to be able to access the premium OS data. So there's two ways you can do that. Either you're paying a Ordnance Survey credit system. So we've got the credits. If you're zoomed into level 10, your credit system will start to charge you, and therefore you can use this premium feature. Or if you're a professional user and you are an OS partner, aka you've got access to their data hub, your OS data hub API key can feed that data in as well. So there's two avenues that you can get access to this. And what this allows you to do, so I've turned my interactive map on. I'm going to draw a new feature by clicking the draw and choose area. And what this now does is it allows me to snap my point to the line. So you can see what's happening is the, he says, let me just double click. Bear with me. I need to turn it on. Turn it on. Okay, let me try again. Draw a feature like so, classic demonstration. And yeah, here we go. You can see what it's doing is it's now interactively snapping to the base map. So even though there's no feature there, it's now allowing me to trace existing Ordnance Survey features. So for example, I'm tracing this woodland. I've only clicked once so far, and it's trying to pick up and magnetize to the features. Now, as a top tip for this, and you can see that although it's working quite nicely, there's still a little bit of complexity in terms of when it hits an intersection between two features. What you want to do is you want to just drop a point every time that you think there's a new feature. So say, for example, I'm tracing this line. What you want to do is just click and it will then magnetize. So I've now double clicked and finished drawing that feature, which this edge is following the master map exactly. And then this leg, because I've double clicked, has kind of cut that in half. And so just to show you that again, maybe I want to trace this woodland block because I want to complete an RLE1 form for this woodland that I've acquired. I can choose draw an area. I can then just trace that. I need to click once to then stop it, keep going around in a circle, but you can see it's now perfectly tracing that woodland block, like so. Even though I've only clicked once or twice, you can see the amount of vertices here. So that's exactly as MasterMap has got on their base map, which should hopefully give you a bit of flexibility and freedom to use the MasterMap data to, whether that's create a red line boundary or a sales plan or any RLE1 forms as mentioned. Just to show you on that though, a couple of things to just be aware of is that when you zoom out past level 10, so you go to level 9, automatically the land app switches that interactive map off just because there's quite a lot of data happening in the background. We do it. So when you zoom out and then zoom back in, like I'm just about to do, it's automatically toggled off. So just remember, you need to toggle it back on if you want to use that feature again. If you don't have that toggled on and you try and trace, you won't be able to trace that woodland block. So I'm trying to trace it. It's not picking up at all. So just remember to turn it on, like so, and then draw your feature. And that's not just for not just for polygons. I've just selected the line feature and it should now, yeah, there we are. It allows me to draw a line following the outline of that woodland as well. So that could be a fencing or a hedging line following that feature type as well. So yeah, that's available for everyone, but you need to be able to access those OS premium base maps, but that's included in the price for your credits. You don't need to pay extra for using the interactive base map. That's just part of using those credits or the API key. What I want to do is I want to draw a slightly bigger polygon because I want to demonstrate how you can purchase OS data as well. So I'm just going to actually draw with this field parcel. Hopefully it snaps to it. It's going around the track. There we are. Why is it? There we are. It's because it woodland in the way. Like so. And then it's magnetizing and sticking to the field, and they want to zoom thing in the way. Apologies. Just try that again. Zoom got in the way. Let me move that down there somewhere. Right, let's try again. One more attempt. Do bear with me. There we are. That looks a lot better. So it's now magnetizing to the edge. Now I want to include all the way around here like this. So this could be your red line boundary. Let's say it includes up to there. And finally, there we are, we're there. Sorry if that was painful. So we've got a nice, we've used the OS data. The reason we're doing this as well, just to let you know, is we will have to soon remove the Ordnance Survey master map from here. One, because this is slightly out of date now, and the tracing is fully in date, but also it just gives us a bit more technical freedom to do some other stuff and some other development in the future. So the next thing I want to show you, so that's all the mapping upgrades so far. So that's increased flexibility in the project reordering, that's being able to trace, that's using the Sustainable Farm Incentive template, and the ability to search the grid reference numbers.